Adam Clay is a lonely beekeeper who works in a lovely woman's field. The man rents a small barn where he keeps his bees, and in his free time he keeps Mrs. Parker company, who always invites him to eat. Adam is very happy to be able to work and have someone to bring a jar of honey or share a chat with, but unfortunately one day everything changes completely. While Adam collects some honey, Mrs. Parker sits with her laptop ready to do some paperwork, but she gets scared when she sees a virus alert that appears on the screen. Fearing that her computer is infected, Mrs. Parker immediately calls the number on the poster, finding a criminal organization dedicated to electronic scams. On the other side, a charismatic young man named Garnet tells her that he has a very old version of his antivirus, and to solve the problem he asks her to download the new version from a strange website. Mrs. Parker, who has no computer skills and is afraid of losing the photos of her children, follows in detail all the instructions given by her supposed advisor, granting the criminal organization access to all of her bank accounts, including the account of a charity that she is part of, in which they had managed to raise more than $2 million to donate to charity. In an instant, the scammers manage to empty all of her accounts, leaving poor Mrs. Parker confused and penniless. Meanwhile, Adam is in the barn finishing canning honey, and at dinner time he decides to take a jar to Mrs. Parker. The young man knocks on the door, but no one answers, and when he sees smoke coming from the kitchen he decides to go in to investigate. Adam has a bad feeling and grabs a knife, and upon entering the room he sees Mrs. Parker with a gunshot wound to her head, and a gun on the floor next to her. At the same time, an FBI agent named Verona appears and points her gun at Adam. She believes that the man has something to do with Mrs. Parker's death. To make matters worse, she turns out to be Verona's mother. Without a moment's thought, Verona calls the police, who quickly arrive at the scene and do a thorough investigation of what happened, taking Adam to the police station to ask him some questions. Despite the guilt and pain she feels over losing her mother, Verona is determined to find out what happened, touring the farm and helping the police with her own investigation. Examining the crime scene, Verona finds her mother's computer, and soon notices that all her accounts are empty, even the one where she collected money to donate to charity. The woman discovers that her mother had been scammed and that led her to take her life, so Adam is finally released. The next day, while Adam does his best not to think and move on with his life, Verona comes over to apologize for accusing him of his mother's death. She tells him the details of the incident and tells him that it was all the fault of a criminal organization, who hacked Parker and stole all of her money. Adam is interested in knowing who they are, but Verona tells him that they are under the FBI's radar, so they must be a very important organization. Upon hearing this, Adam quickly searches for a radio that he had hidden, and contacts a secret organization, the Beekeepers. The man talks to an old friend, and asks her to follow the trail of the criminal organization that robbed Mrs. Parker, asking them to investigate her address. It is here that we learn that the Beekeepers are a super-secret organization, working above the United States government. They are in charge of maintaining order in case the government fails or becomes corrupt, and they can act as they want, inside and outside the law. Adam is a retired beekeeper, and when the agency gives him the address of the gang's operations center, the man goes there with 2 cans full of gasoline. At the door, building security tries to stop him, but Adam quickly manages to incapacitate them and enter the place. Arriving at the offices, Adam confronts the employee saying that stealing from the most vulnerable is very wrong, and begins brutally beating one who was carrying out a telephone scam at the time. When finished, Adam asks them to evacuate the place, and begins to pour gasoline all over the place. Garnet and his guards quickly arrive at the scene, but Adam beats them up and finishes them off very easily. Adam then assembles a detonator and places it next to the gasoline, and suggests that Garnet leave the scene if he wants to stay alive. As Adam leaves, the device activates and a huge explosion blows up the offices. After the incident, Garnet contacts his boss, Danforth, to explain what just happened. Garnet tells him that a man calling himself the Beekeeper broke into the building, and after incapacitating the guards, destroyed the offices. Upon hearing this, Danforth becomes enraged and orders them to find out who he is and go kill him. Meanwhile, Verona learns about the explosion, rejoicing to discover that it could be the offices of her mother's scammers. After a while, Garnet and his men manage to find Adam's whereabouts in Mrs. Parker's field, and before going to look for him they destroy several of his hives. They then follow him to the barn, but Adam was aware of this and prepares to confront them. Upon entering, Garnet's men begin shooting at Adam's shadow, but this was a distraction and the man begins picking them off one by one. When only Garnet remains, Adam teaches him a lesson by cutting off his fingers with a meat saw, and releases him alive to send a message. On the other hand, Verona is interrogating one of the organization's employees when she finds out about a fire in her mother's field. Upon arriving, she sees that Adam's barn is completely destroyed, and a colleague shows her the documents of one of the dead people they found, discovering that they were employees of the same scam company that robbed her mother, which leads her to think that it is Adam who is behind all this. Meanwhile, Garnet escapes the scene and contacts Danforth, telling him that his men are dead and he is missing the fingers on his hand. Danforth jumps out of his chair and begins to desperately ask who Adam is and how come they can't stop him. It is here that Adam appears, this time determined to kill him, so he ties a rope to Garnet's body, and secures the other end to his truck, causing it to speed up and dragging Garnet into the water with it. On the other side, Danforth listens to the entire sequence, and Adam soon grabs the phone and very calmly assures him that he is after him. Upon hearing this, Danforth decides to meet with Wallace, a retired CIA director, who will now be in charge of protecting him and keeping him safe. All of this at the request of Danforth's mother, Jessica, the recently elected President of the United States. Danforth tells Wallace the situation and mentions that Adam proclaimed himself a beekeeper, downplaying it, but Wallace, who knows the beekeeper's secret program, he worries and tells the boy that he is a dead man. On the other hand, in the FBI building, Verona along with her partner, Matt, do everything possible to search for information about Adam and his past, but there is not even the slightest trace of him, which leads them to think that Adam probably be part of a top-secret government program. At that moment, Verona and Matt receive the news of the death of Garnet, who was found drowned and with his fingers cut off, tied to Adam's truck. On the other hand, Wallace analyzes the difficult situation and decides to call Janet, the current director of the CIA, to ask about Adam. The woman confirms that Adam is a retired agent of the Beekeepers, and a very concerned Wallace asks her to take care of eliminating him. Janet then contacts the Beekeepers and hires one of their members, Anna, to take him down. Meanwhile, Adam stops at a gas station to refuel to go after Danforth. However, he is soon ambushed by Anna, who crashes her car and goes to kill him, but Adam manages to hide from her and attacks her from behind her. The two fight, but Adam gets in front of her and manages to set her on fire, killing her. The young man then takes a knife and cuts off her finger for later use, and quickly escapes from the gas station as everything explodes. Later, Janet calls Wallace, saying that to prevent future problems, the Beekeepers will remain neutral and not try to stop Adam. With this information, Wallace has no choice but to take care of Adam on his own, so he assembles a group of several Special Forces agents and tells them about the existence of the Beekeepers, mentioning that their goal is to eliminate Adam Clay. The next morning, Verona and Matt go to the gas station and find Anna's burned body on the ground. It turns out that there are no records of Anna in the government databases either, and when searching her truck she finds a book that talks about beekeepers, so they quickly associate that she belongs to the same secret organization as Adam. Meanwhile, Adam goes to Anna's hideout, and uses the finger he cut off to infiltrate the place and access her computer. With access to the Beekeepers' tools and network, Adam manages to follow Garnet's phone signal, discovering that the criminal organization's main office is in the 9 Points building. With this information, Adam takes several weapons and explosives from Anna's hideout and goes in search of Danforth, hoping to find him there. At the same time, the group of special agents formed by Wallace arrives at the 9 Points building, knowing that Adam would come looking for them. Their goal is to eliminate Adam as soon as he shows up at the offices, and they are so confident that it will be an easy task that they even let the scammers continue working while they are on site. Outside, a group of FBI agents arrive on behalf of the government, to protect the building knowing that Adam might want to blow everything up, like he already did with the other offices and the gas station. However, while they are making a plan, Adam surprises them and approaches them, managing to defeat them with some ease and taking one of them hostage to enter the building. While in the offices they celebrate a $1 million scam they have just pulled off, Adam infiltrates among the employees and once again raises his voice to make them see reason and ask them to leave. Wallace's team sees him and goes after him, but Adam quickly takes an employee as a human shield, and then uses his abilities to escape and take them all out one by one. After finishing with them, Adam interrogates Rico, one of the organization's managers, and tortures him to reveal who is the true owner of the entire company. Rico tells him that the owner has immense power, is immune to the law and there is no way he can get to him, and ends up revealing that the owner is Danforth, the son of Jessica, the President of the United States. At that moment, Verona and the rest of the FBI team go up to the offices to arrest Adam, but the man again manages to escape. Verona and Matt stop Rico and finally discover that the criminal organization in charge of robbing and scamming people is led by Danforth. However, this organization is part of the Danforth Corporation, a larger company run by the presidential family, which is dedicated to producing programs and databases for other government organizations. Upon discovering this, Verona fears that Adam might also want to attack Danforth's mother, so Prig, a high-ranking government official, makes the SWAT team available for the security of the presidential family. The next day, Verona and his partner join the efforts of the special teams to provide protection to the presidential family, who had organized a charity event at their beachfront mansion. Despite the enormous security from the government, Wallace remains worried about a possible attack by Adam, so he hires a group of mercenaries, led by Lazarus, who he claims are expert hunters of beekeepers. At the same time, Adam appears in the area and infiltrates through the sewers, emerging under a truck in which he is hiding. When a SWAT team goes to investigate the truck, Adam knocks him out and dresses in his clothes, managing to go unnoticed and then plants some bombs in the truck. The officer's suit allows him to reach the mansion, and then he takes it off to go unnoticed among the guests. Meanwhile, Prig meets with the president and reveals that her son has been using the Danforth Corporation's programs to commit crimes, scamming people and stealing their money. Upon learning that the funds with which she campaigned for the presidency were of illegal origin, Jessica becomes furious and tells her son that she will expose him to the world so as not to be implicated in his scam. At the same time, Verona sees Adam inside the mansion and quickly puts her team on alert. They manage to reach him and ask him to surrender, but when he kneels, he detonates the bombs he placed in the trucks. This creates a distraction that allows him to steal Lazarus' weapon and eliminate most of the guards surrounding him. Adam quickly runs to the mansion in search of Danforth. Upon entering, he confronts several agents but tries to cause as little harm as possible. As he approaches the president's office, Lazarus tries to stop him, but after an intense fight, Adam manages to finish him off. Upon reaching the office, Adam plants a charge and blows up the door, allowing him to enter the room. Verona and Matt arrive at the same time. Danforth quickly goes after his mother and uses her as a shield. Verona asks Adam not to hurt them. At that moment, Adam turns to Verona and asks if he works alone to enforce the law or if he seeks justice. Danforth threatens to harm his mother, but Adam quickly kills him with a shot to the head and jumps out a window to escape. Verona aims at Adam and considers shooting him but decides to let him go, prioritizing justice for the death of her mother and the other scam victims. The film ends with Adam dressing in the scuba gear he left on the beach and escaping into the sea after taking down Danforth. Don't let the journey end here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay connected for more entertaining content.